Here are the best Cypher setups on Abyss. Let's start on the A side. For the first tripwire, place it like so, and a second tripwire like so. Cage right here, and then jump up on these boxes. Wait for the spawn barrier to drop, and then jump and place a camera high off this back wall. Drop down into backside and play from the right hand side of backside. Go on your camera, and as soon as you see the enemies running in, activate your cage, swing out, and get a free kill. You can toss down a second cage, and as soon as they hit your second tripwire, activate the cage, and get a second free kill. Using the same setup, you can also play from heaven. Simply drop a cage right here before the beginning of the round, go on your camera, and then activate this cage as soon as you see people running in, and get yourself a free kill. Alternatively, you can move the second tripwire over onto bridge if you notice that they're running onto bridge to plant the spike. Simply drop a cage left side of backside, hop on your camera, when they come in, activate your cage, get a free kill. And when they start running onto bridge to plant the spike or to challenge you, drop a second cage, activate it, and get a second free kill. Moving on to the B side. Before the start of the round, simply get a tripwire up like so, and a second tripwire high off this wall like so. Get a cage right here somewhere, and jump up on these boxes, and move to the corner of this tall box. Aim at the intersection between this and this, and as the round starts, simply jump and place your camera up top. Drop back into back sight, and wait for the enemies to come to you. As soon as you start hearing noise, or you think they're about to execute, simply get on your camera. And this camera is so high up in the air that it's pretty much impossible for the attackers to see. Here, as I'm clearing sight normally, I almost have to look up 90 degrees in order to see this camera. And if I'm attacking from heaven and I'm clearing sight, you can see how this camera almost creates a one-way effect where I can see their legs, but they cannot see my camera. So when they're pushing out the sight, then simply what you can do is activate your cage as they hit your tripwire and swing out and get a free kill. You can stay on site and try to go for a second pick, or simply back out into CT and potentially get a free kill off of this second tripwire. The second tripwire is located in a location that if they were to plant the spike and try to jump back to this danger area, this tripwire a lot of times will cancel so much of their momentum that they'll simply fall off the map. Here are some bonus cameras and tripwires. Let's start on the A side. So for defense, you can simply get to this corner as a defender, and as soon as the spawn barrier drops, you can jump and place a camera here, and that will allow you to see all of A main, and you can potentially have a duelist swing off your camera's contact. Similarly, you can get deep cameras into this position here, and this position here, which will require the attacker to run into this area in order to break your camera. As an attacker on A site, if your team plants on bridge and has gotten control of back sight, you can simply place a camera here, and this camera will allow you to see the defenders as they're coming out to retake. And especially if they're defusing the spike, you can see them while they can't see the camera that you've placed outside the map. Similarly, if you've planted front side, you can jump up here and place a camera right here. Again, this will see the defenders as they're coming out of CT. And again, this camera most likely will not be broken because it will be behind them. Moving on to mid. There isn't that many good attacking cameras, but in terms of a defensive camera, placing a camera here at the beginning of the round is very powerful. This will allow you to hold the lurk, both coming into A site as well as B site. And finally, to finish off on B site, For defensive cameras, for an alternative defensive camera to what I've shown before, a camera up here as soon as the barrier drops could also be very good. Again, it's going to be behind the attackers, and so it's very difficult for them to break. A tripwire that could be really nice after the spawn barrier drops is this one located here. What will happen is if they're trying to do the skill jump here on danger to the front of site, this tripwire will catch them, and a lot of times it will just make them fall off the map. And lastly, for the post plant cameras, a really nice post plant camera, if you've placed your spike left side of sight, is simply right here, and you can simply jump back danger. This camera again will be behind the defenders, and especially if they're diffusing the spike here as they're coming out, they can't see your camera, and as they go to front sight, you can see behind them, and you have full knowledge of whether or not they're actually sticking the spike or not. And those were the best Cypher setups on Abyss. Hope you enjoyed. You can't sum love up in your